Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Monday, May 11th, and you know what that means. It's time for the High Risk Wrestling recap. Sorry, I am your host, Jeremy Pierce. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. And without further ado, let's get into the news. So, I remember when Lucha Underground just randomly started posting again on Twitter. Well, it's different. So Lucha Underground isn't necessarily coming back. It looks like they're going to bring the show back and air the old episodes. Lucha Underground was ahead of its time, man. It holds a really, really good place in a lot of our hearts. We'll see how that progresses. As you all know, there were some WWE cuts releases last week, about 2 weeks ago. So here's what's going on. It boils down to one, SmackDown moving back to 2 hours, right? So there's people not being used. Two, they see this as, if you're not being used for what we're paying you for, then take a pay cut. And they're asking talent to take pay cuts up to 50%, and there have been talents that have already taken pay cuts. They asked the New Day to take a pay cut, and they were like, nah. Many of us expect them to be in AEW. It's almost like it's a foregone conclusion. Meanwhile, those at the top, Shapiro and Triple H and Ari Emanuel and Nick Khan, all have bonuses and making millions upon millions of dollars. Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, that TKO only pays the WWE stars 18% of the income of the gross that they make, not even 50%. These contracts just aren't good anymore. Mind you, the New Day were asked to take a pay cut 1 year into their new 5-year deal. So yeah, it's just a bad look, and TKO is trying to cut costs and get out of debt, but the people at the top can still make money. Talent are very, very frustrated amid these cuts, as their contracts are now devalued and they mean little to nothing. This is not a good look for TKO at all. But here's the thing, they don't care. I very much expect the WWE to be sold off in like the next decade or so, probably to Saudi Arabia. They're also trying to figure out how to format the premium live events amid their ESPN plans. So since WrestleMania and now having a Backlash, the first hour of the shows have aired on ESPN and ESPN2. It doesn't really matter how they format it. You're still going to give us less wrestling. It's just what they do. 5 matches on a pay-per-view is nothing. It's trash. It should never ever be accepted. Stephanie Vicaria's ex-boyfriend El Cuatrero was found guilty of domestic violence and attempted femicide. Was part of the reason she left AAA and started wrestling on the indies. And it sucks that the WWE now owns AAA, and she has to see the company that backed her ex-boyfriend when he tried to kill her. It's absolutely BS. It's just not really a good look. And AEW has vehemently denied that they're in talks with Aleister Black. He is not coming back to AEW. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he is not coming back. I expect him and his wife Zelina Vega to probably sign with TNA. They can be a big fish in a small pond. In some sad news, the pro wrestling world lost a legend. We lost Ted Turner. He passed away at the age of 87. This is the guy that loved professional wrestling and brought us WCW. AEW airs on TNT and TBS, his stations that he created. The Great American Bash will be taking place July 12th at Center Stage in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll see. This is the NXT event, and I believe this is the first one that will be airing on the CW. We know the premiere of Dark Side of the Ring Season 7 will be going down July 7th, starting at 9 p.m. on Vice TV. And some of the stories attached to this season will be a 3-part deep dive into TNA and Jeff Jarrett. We also have Paul Orndorff, Big Boss Man, Missy Hyatt, Zach Gowen, and the Renegade. In one episode, we'll also revisit the infamous Necro Butcher versus Samoa Joe match. Raja Jackson reached a plea deal in the Psycho Stu assault case. He admitted to 2 special allegations, including personal infliction of great bodily injury and engaging in violent conduct. He's expected to spend 90 days in county jail, pay a restitution of $703, and 2 years of formal probation. WWE is using bots to crack down on streamer clips. I don't know why, but they use clips for their shows. They're just trying to be greedy. They've also announced that Triple Mania 34 will now be 2 nights. Night 1 will be Friday, September 11th. Night 2 will be Sunday, September 23rd. This will be September 13th. This will be the first ever 2-night Triple Mania. Okada was pulled from his title match against Darby Allin coming this Wednesday, as he had to head back to Japan to deal with a family situation, like an actual family situation, not a Don Callis family situation. If you watch the Iyo Asuka match from Backlash afterwards, you would see that there is a possibility that Asuka is retiring. We don't know. There's been a lot of speculation. Many people in the wrestling world have reacted accordingly, just paying tribute to the legend that is Asuka, also known as Kana. We shall see. And John Cena's major announcement coming out of Backlash was the John Cena Classic, the John Cena Cup. It's going to be a tournament that features WWE and NXT stars, with the winner getting a championship, and you don't even have to win matches to get the championship, because fans get to vote. Matches, wins and losses don't matter. And the only side of injury news that we have is that Chelsea Green underwent a heart procedure. She says after 10 years, doctors finally caught her SVT and she was able to get her heart procedure done. SVT is supraventricular tachycardia. She's doing well. She's in good spirits. We shall wait and see what goes down, but she will be out sideline for the time being. Other than that, there's not much on the injury side of things, but we should be right back with the week in review. All right, let's get into the week in review. You know, we start off with Monday Night Raw. This was the go-home show for Backlash. This show gets a fist. We open up as Roman reached the gorilla position and cross paths with Seth. Braun attacked Seth before he reached the ring. Spirit, Rollins, and attacked security. Look, Braun's coming for his neck. Ain't nothing more to say about that, you know what I mean? We were backstage with the Judgment Day. And Liv told Roxanne not to keep secrets from the family, and Roxanne agreed but looked resentful once Liv turned away. And Liv's control over the group is just highlighting. I'm expecting maybe another guy to join the group at some point. They need some males, and at least another dude in that group. Because I'm not scared of Dom, nor am I scared of JD McDonough. But our first match was Finn Balor versus JD McDonough. Bad blood. Finn getting his hands on his once best friend, closest friend. This was a good match. This could definitely, like, if this match took place on the indie scenes, it would be like a 25-minute banger. But all we got was 12 minutes. Ultimately, JD got the win with the headbutt after Liv distracted the ref and tossed the hammer to Roxanne, who struck Finn, but she didn't seem happy about it. Seth told Jackie Redmond that he wasn't finished with Braun and he vowed for revenge. He refused medical attention. We're getting to it. Like, this is good for Seth and for the Vision. They need stuff like this. We got a recap of everything going on with Jacob and Roman and Joe Hendry. And then we were backstage with the Braun and the Vision, and Braun joked around that, look, I'm going to end Seth. I provoked him. I'm going to finish him. And Logan Pain demanded a match with Joe Hendry. Javon Evans and Penta took on Rusev and Ethan Page. You knew this match was coming out. What happened from last week? Ultimately, Rusev and Ethan Page got the W. We were in the ring with Adam Pearce, Soruka, and Becky Lynch. Pearce announced the signing of Soruka officially to Monday Night Raw. And Becky mocked Pearce for booking, called Iyo Sky. He called Iyo Sky Iaginetti. Becky swung at Soul, but accidentally hit Pierce, and Soul recovered and messed up and tried to hit the Soul Snatcher. She got some of it, but didn't get all of it. The Usos said Jacob needed to fall in line with the bloodline. He said the family structure must be respected. They were back to being old bloodline stuff. But they just really looked frustrated with Jacob not falling in line with the rest of the family. Joe Hendry took on Austin Theory. Joe got the W by DQ after Seth brawled with Braun at ringside, and Division just kind of jumped Hendry during the match. And there you go. I'm expecting a tag match tonight. I don't know what's on the card for WrestleMania, for Raw tonight. The Judgment Day called out Paige and Bree. They want the tag team titles. Bayley and Lyra also want the titles. Liv dismissed them while Roxanne looked conflicted. Liv tried to keep the group focused. We shall see where things go from there. Oda Femi's, his open challenge was answered by Otis. Well, first was answered by Tozawa, and Tozawa was like, nah. Oda stepped up. Solid match for what it was, but ultimately Oba got the win, hitting the fall from grace off of the ropes, using those for assistance. Seth met with Joe Hendry and the Prophets. He said, listen, I know we agreed to stay out of each other's way, but we all have enemies right now in the division. I know y'all don't trust me. Montez was like, listen, you did this. You started all of this. And Seth was like, look, I get it, but we got bigger fish to fry. So I guess that is the tag match. I don't know who the fourth member will be, since Bronson Reed is still out. Asuka and Iyo had a face-to-face, and Iyo challenged Asuka to the match at Backlash, and Asuka said Iyo was no longer the woman she trained and caught her disappointment. Iyo refused to back down from Asuka. Asuka just sprayed the mist in her face. Match was made official. Original OG El Grande Americano teamed up with his new partners, which were essentially Julio and Bruto, which are just Julius and Brutus Creed, taking on El Grande Americano, Rayo, and Bravo. Fun match, and the OGs ultimately won. I'm glad this is still going on. Someone's got to get unmasked. I can understand why Gable and the Creeds are doing this, but it doesn't make sense why Ludwig, Tyler Bate, and Pete Dunne are doing this. And our last bit of news on the show was the contract signing between Roman and Jacob. Look, Roman once again sat at the head of the table, and he said bringing Solo into WWE indirectly brought Jacob into the WWE, and that was a mistake. Jacob said, look, I'm planning to take the title, and y'all gonna pay me back. Roman said he's the tribal chief. He feeds families. You don't attack family. You don't put the Tongan death grip on family. Jacob's like, oh, screw this. He locked in the Tongan death grip. Roman got away, but got locked in again, and Jacob signed the contract and put Roman through the table. Over on Dynamite, the show gets a fist. Can the Jet shock the world? So we opened up with a tribute to Ted Turner. Tony Schiavone was in the ring and reminisced and just talked about the importance of Ted Turner to professional wrestling, how down we're all on his networks. Again, he brought out Sting, and Sting said that AEW wouldn't exist without Turner's legacy, and they paid tribute to him, and this was just really, really good. And it gave him a 10-bell salute. Opening contest was Jon Moxley in a Continental Eliminator for Juice Robinson. You know how the deal goes. Juice wins, he gets a title shot, or if he wins or he lasts 20 minutes, he gets a title shot. This was good. Juice targeted Mox's cut and control stretches heavy with the offense, but Mox rallied with the cutter. Once we got to the 10-minute mark, things really picked up. But ultimately, Mox countered a roll up into the Bulldog choke. Power driver, another Bulldog choke. 1, 2, 3. Juice was out. Then we were backstage with the Death Riders, and Mox was overseeing Ospreay's neck rehab. It said he needed this. He needed his mind and his body right. Mox said most wrestlers coached by Ospreay wasn't built for that, and he called the final climb death ground. Ospreay stared to the camera before leaning back, and we was doing a thing. All right. Then we had Orange Cat take on Dax Harwood. This was a winner. It was a double Jeopardy match. So if Orange Cassidy wins, he gets a tag team title shot. If Dax wins, they get a trios title shot, and this essentially was a lumberjack match. Orange Cassidy had Roddy, Kyle O'Reilly, Cope, and Cage. I feel like I'm missing somebody else. I feel like the Bangman Gang might have been there. I don't remember. And Dax and them had Dax had his partners and the dogs, and I forget who. Roppongi Vice. So this is a fine match. Dax usually wrestles more single matches than Cash. Dax is a fine singles wrestler. But ultimately, Cassidy countered Dax mat work after the powerbomb into the leverage pin. After the match, everybody just started fighting. Ended up with Copeland spearing Rocky and Christian kicking him low. Oh, and the Young Bucks were there. Yeah, and the Bucks super kicking Trent. Until everybody stood tall. Fun. We got a video for Rouge hyping him up, who has been on a roll lately. Then we were with Jericho. And look, he knows he's getting beat up, and he called out Ricochet. Ricochet arrived with the Gates of Agony, and Jericho demanded a face-to-face confrontation. Let's see what happens. So Ricochet asks, what does he gain from one-on-one? He's already beaten Jericho, and he suggested Stadium Stampede. Ultimately, the Hurt Syndicate made the save for Jericho. We're going to get Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing. Then we were backstage with Renee and Mina and Harley. And Mina gave Harley a good pep talk and ripped her shirt open. And Harley was shocked. She was just in a bra. And Mina was like, I thought you were in your gear. Harley's great. They smile confidently on, get ready for the tag match. Okada put the International Championship on the line versus Brian Keith. Don't know how in the hell Brian Keith got an International Championship. We shall see. Keith had no shot at winning, but it was a good match. Ultimately, Okada won. Keith put up a fight, but Okada won with the Rainmaker. I don't know how Brian Keith got himself a championship match, but Okada did his thing. After the match, Kyle said Okada already had the international title, but that we want more, and Okada said he's coming for the AEW World Championship. We got a vignette for Andrade, speaking about his legacy and his pride and reclaiming greatness. He did just win the, I want to say, never Openweight Championship. He did just win a championship in New Japan. Speedball and Kevin Knight were backstage, and Speedball told Kevin Knight he wasn't a rising star anymore. He was already a shining star, and they're gonna do this thing together. Joe said Ospreay was destined for greatness, Samoa Joe, that is, and he questioned how much would be left after the Death Riders. He's leaving his offer on the table for like another week or two. You gotta pick and choose Death Riders or the Ops. If you don't accept, well, there will be consequences. Harley and Mina took on Shida and Chris Statlander. I really enjoyed this match. There's a lot of clashing personalities, and it was really fun. Stat interfered, not interfered. She got in, took control, big boot. Shida dropped the Falcon Arrow. They get the W. Shida celebrated enthusiastically while Statlander refused eye contact. Something's up. Stat walked out without acknowledging her partner. Shida looked confused and disappointed. Spoiler alert, women's championship match at Double or Nothing. Thekla will be putting the belt on the line against Shida, Stat, and I believe Jamie Hayter. Swerve said he wants power, and he's chasing real power, not just wins. He said the power was meant for who eats and who starves, and that's why he's coming for Bandito, and he wants the Ring of Honor World Championship. Renee asked Brody and Bandito what's up, like what's going on, and Bandito said he was the most wanted. He is very, very easy to find. Brody said messing with him was one thing, but messing with his friends, man, hell of a pay. We're starting to feud back up. I like it. Violence is coming, ladies and gentlemen. Our main event, Darby Allin put the AEW World Championship on the line against Kevin Knight in a go watch this match. Darby is just doing the damn thing right now. Knight used the speed and the athleticism to overwhelm Darby early. Darby answered with dives and a scorpion deathlock. Knight hit a coast to coast. Remember that coast to coast is what put Darby on the shelf when they fought in the C2 last year. He hit the UFO splash but ended up hitting his knee. Darby countered with the guillotine, coffin drop, second coffin drop, retains the championship. Sting came out, they all shook hands, celebrated each other. Fine match. Then we got a special Collision episode. It was broken down into two parts. So we got the first half of Collision, then we got the new episode with the Fairway to Hell, which we'll get into later. So as Darby and Sting were in the ring, MJF came out and look, he wants a championship match. He's put on, he's like, I got a scarf, I got money, what do you want? And Darby's like, I want your hair. We know you flew to Turkey for a transplant. I want your hair. MJF froze and left. All right, Okada, he came out and said, look, I want the championship. I want a title match. And Darby's like, all right, bitch, you got it. Ospreay was told his neck is improving and that whatever's going on with the Death Riders is working. And Ospreay refused to clarify his relationship with the Death Riders, but he is not a Death Rider. Mike Bailey took on AR Fox. Fun match. Really simple, really quick. Mike Bailey got the win in about 8 minutes with the Ultimate Weapon. AR Fox is always game. Go watch Ring of Honor this week, ladies and gentlemen, to see something special about AR Fox. Willow issued another open challenge and she's looking for fresh competition. I wonder who's going to answer our challenge and face her at Double or Nothing. Pac says, look, I'm up 2-1 on you, Darby. I want the championship. What you got? And they'll be facing each other on Fairway to Hell. Jamie Hayter took on Sky Blue. We were hyping Sky Blue up. She got some wins early on, and now she here facing Jamie Hayter. Solid match. Jamie ultimately won with a top rope Hayter. After the match, she kept beating on Sky Blue, taunting Julia and taunting Thekla to get in the ring, who did not do it. Backstage with the Don Callis family, and Callis bragged about the family's future championships. Takeshi was annoyed Okada was getting a world title shot, but instead of focusing on another match, Andrade walked in with his new title, which wasn't even acknowledged by Don Callis. And Callis insisted the family would win everything. There is tension simmering. We got a standby match: Roosh versus Manny Low. Roosh won in less than a minute with the bull's horns. You mess with the bull, you get the horns. Our main event was the Dogs and the Death Riders taking on the Young Bucks and the Bang Bang Gang 10-man tag match. Just a fun, crazy brawl. They started out with a brawl immediately, dives everywhere, the guns clearing the ring. Ultimately, Ace Austin hit the fold on Wheeler Yuta to get the W. It's weird what's going on with the Death Riders, because they're either good or they're bad depending on who they're facing. But they're helping Will Ospreay. It's really weird. After the match, everyone celebrated, and it was good that we pumped up Ace Austin. Over on Impact, the show gets a fist. We got a new champ, ladies and gentlemen. EC3 took on Eric Young in a no DQ match. Eric Young won with a power driver. He gave a power driver through the table, and then another one in the ring. Ended that match quickly, ladies and gentlemen. We were our integration and Stack. She's putting her championship over the line later tonight, the Knockouts Championship. And look, she hyped her about. Stacks backed her confidence, and Grace said she would prove that she was the face of the division, and Grace vowed to win clean. We were with the system, and they hyped their match for the night. Eddie said dominance will continue, and Brian and Myers and Bear Bronson, right? Bear Bronson? I think it's Bear Bronson. Promised to retain the tag champs, and Alicia said she'd do whatever it took. All right. Lena Black was in the ring. She said she's the only knockout who mattered. The concierge introduced Ash, who insulted Black's look and bragged about her brand. Indy interrupted and mocked Ash for being fake. Ash called Indy poor and escalated tensions, and Indy knocked Ash out of the ring as Black watched from the stage. They're trying to set the hierarchy up for the Knockouts division. Dari Ray says Santino's plane ticket was mysteriously canceled. She declared she'd make all the decisions for the night and was happy at the opportunity. The roster looks uneasy. Brian Myers and Bear Bronson put the tag team titles on against Nick Nemeth and Casey Navarro. And seeing as how this wasn't the Nemeths together, you knew they weren't going to win. The system did retain hit the bear down on Casey. I wonder how Ryan Nemeth feels about this. We were then in the ring, transitioned to Eddie Edwards, Moose, Leon Slater. Eddie called out Moose and Slater for their match tonight. Moose and Slater entered ready for the fight. The system watched closely. All right, Leon Slater and Moose took on Eddie and Cedric Alexander. Moose and Leon got the W in a fun match. This went almost 20 minutes. Cedric hit Slater with the lumbar check before Moose speared the hell out of Cedric, allowing Moose to roll up Eddie Edwards for the W. Good. Let's keep cooking with this. We got the injury report updates on EC3, Eric Young, Elijah, Kaz, Lei Ying Lee, and Ariana Grace. People are beat up, ladies and gentlemen. The system is kind of involved for like all of the stuff. Same thing with Order 4, and the knockouts are hurt as well. Santana said he gave his heart and soul every night in this ring. Daria Ray interrupted and said she couldn't choose his challenger. She announced the Battle Royale next week to determine his opponent. Santana said the fans decide, not her, but respected the challenge. And she demanded her music to be played. AJ Francis, who I think is a good guy now, complaining about being forced to team with Casey Navarro, because remember, he did kick Casey Navarro out of First Class. He said Casey stole a win from him and he stole Casey's health. AJ challenged Casey to a street fight next week and promised to end Casey Navarro's comeback. Well, I guess he's not a face. Casey accepted and said AJ tried to take everything from him, so he's going to take everything from him. Our main event match was Ariana Grace putting the Knockouts Championship on the line against Lei Ying Lee. And you know, at some points, the title had to come back to TNA. This was a solid match, not great, but it was still good enough, worthy of being in the main event. Ultimately, Lee hit the top rope neck breaker for the W. We have a new champion, ladies and gentlemen. Daria Ray presented the title back to her, and Ariana Grace was shocked, whereas Zaya Brookside was watching backstage and she was ready to step up. And we immediately transitioned to Moose, who had his ass beat. He was laid out backstage, but the sister was nowhere to be found. We go over to SmackDown. This was the go home show for Backlash. This show gets a thumbs down. God, SmackDown's just been so bad lately. Jacob said he'd take the title and everything else from Roman, and he's tired of it seeing as nothing. The Usos came out. Let's listen. Look, we proud of you, bro. We love you, but there are consequences to losing. Jimmy asked if Fatu ever consider what happens if he fails, and Jay said Roman will break him emotionally and physically because that has happened to him. Fatu responded, listen, my kids, my wife, my family gonna see me win. Alda said he didn't like what Gunther did to Ricky, did to Cody before Ricky involved. Remember, Gunther is still a part of Raw, technically speaking. Saint said you had me go from QB1 to QB4 to face Matt Cardona. We're gonna get that match. Nick Aldis shook Jacob Fatu's hand and told him, listen, rest up before Backlash. You're better than this. You've been in a better position. Fatu ran in Royce Keys, encouraged them. They boys. We shall see. Solo said Keys was in the wrong place last week, so let's see what goes on there with them. Tiffany Stratton put the United States Championship on the line against Kiana James. Julia did not look happy. Tiffany won with the prettiest moonsault ever after Julia's distraction failed. Most of SmackDown was dedicated to the Gingerbread Man. Sammy confronted Nick Aldis for allowing this funeral to happen, and Nick said everybody needs closure. Truth did truth stuff. Funny. Rhea said, listen, I know you and me got beef, Charlotte, but we gotta do this to take out everybody, and Fatal Influence is a problem. Let's just see what happens. Alexa Bliss called it progress. All right. Truth, more of the Gingerbread Man, while Priest focused on Tala Tonga, and that match came up next. Tala Tonga got the W, winning with the chokeslam. They really like Tala Tonga. Solos and Tama Tonga both got involved. The MFTs were about to beat down Priest until Royce Keys came out and really backed them off. Matt Cardona took on Ricky Saints, and of course Matt Cardona lost, because that's all Matt Cardona has been doing since coming back to the WWE. Ricky Saints won with the Rochambeau. Cardona hit the radio silence, but Saints popped up with the tornado DDT. Like, come on, man. Come on, you could have staked the indie god out of all things. We got more funeral stuff with Sammy, Johnny Gargano, who was in shock. Ray Phoenix. Zane was just spiraling because, well, this is all absurd. Brie and Paige were nearly crushed by falling set pieces. Danhausen ran away without helping. Did he curse Brie and Paige? We get to the ring, and Fatal Influence, the Irresistible Forces, they all want title shots. They all want the women's tag team titles. Fatal Influence interrupted, saying the champs should fear them. The Forces arrived, mocking the champs, and Lash Legend laughed off the chance for Trick Williams. The Forces attacked the champs and left Paige a little bit bloody. We go into the 6-woman tag match with Fatal Influence taking on Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss. You knew how this was going to go. You got to get the new people the W here, and of course Fatal Influence won. Fatal Influence is running through SmackDown. Jay chased off Fatal Influence and then attacked Bliss before Charlotte intervened, but Michin and B-Fab got the upper hand. Ripley also tried to make the save, but she was overwhelmed. So things are heating up on the women's side of things. Royce was walking backstage and ran to the Usos. They warned him to stay away from the MFT, and they said Roman would notice if he didn't. Royce didn't back down. Is the next challenger going to be Royce? Oh, they're on separate brands. Jeez. How's the Usos on SmackDown? Anyway, Tamataga took on Royce Keys. Royce got the W, man. He hit the USB for the dub. Talatanga tried to get involved, and Solo was like, nah, let Tama do this by himself. We were at Danhausen's lab, and stupid, whatever, he was preparing to create his partner for Backlash. Shinsuke asked Tamatanga if he was the MFT, and Tala wanted Nakamura to watch his mouth. Nakamura smirked and walked off. Tama looked frustrated, and we're still doing the story with the MFT. Trick ran into Nick Aldis, who said the funeral had the rest of the broadcast, and Trick nodded solemnly. And we get to the funeral for the Gingerbread Man. A choir surrounded the casket. We got a video package. It was all AI generated. Sammy interrupted and said this was just stupid. Zayn confronted Trick and punched him in frustration. The Gingerbread Man then rose from the casket and revealed himself to be Lil Yachty, and Trick hit the trick shot after Yachty hit Sammy with the kendo stick. Funny. Stupid, but funny. I'll give them credit. Stupid, but funny. Over on Collision, this was Fairway to Hell. This show gets a thumbs up. This was actually taking place at the golf course, the indoor golf course. It looked great on camera. They did have some production issues. We were hearing Tony Khan over the headset, kind of directing the show. Part opening comments was Jack Perry putting the national championship on the line against Dunkzilla Mark Davis. This was a rematch from before, so if there's a rematch, you can't have one person lose twice. Mark Davis is your new national champion. Look. Perry had his match won. Ricochet got involved, hit it with a kendo stick, and that's how we got a new champion. Perry's been working with the Don Callis family. What do you expect? And Perry backstage was pissed, and he said losing the title in his hometown was devastating. He blamed Ricochet, and he said, look, you offered up Stadium Stampede. Well, I got some more partners for Jericho and the Hurt Syndicate, and that would be the rest of the Elite. So on one side, it will be Jericho, Shelton, and Lashley of the Hurt Syndicate, and the Elite. That's 7. So that leaves the Man and probably 4 members of the Don Callis family. Mark Davis was backstage with Ricochet and Don Callis. And listen, Don Callis accepted. He said, we'll talk business and see who we will put in this match. I'm expecting it to be not Takeshita and Okada, so probably Mark Davis, Andrade, and Roppongi Vice. If I'm correct, I don't think I'm missing. Oh, bro, no, actually, no, probably Hologram and Hachicero. Forgot they're in the family. God, the family is so big. The Divine Dominion now are having this thing where you just got to survive 5 minutes with them. And first that was Ruthie Slay and Rachel Leigh. They went 2 minutes and 17 seconds. The Divine Dominion hit the Divine Intervention. It was a wrap. Kyle said the family had to take some crush with the world title, and they did announce that Okada had business, so he was replacing Okada with the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita. And Kyle said Takeshita was the best in the world with his game plan. Takeshita promised to bring the title home. We had another match with Speedball Mike Bailey taking on Kieran Gray. Quick work by Mike Bailey, who hit the Ultimate Weapon. Kevin Knight, just like what happened on Dynamite, hyped up his boy. I don't know. Not long for these two. Our main event was no countouts. Darby Allin putting the World Championship on the line against Pac. They fought all over the golf course. They fought in the green. They fought in the sand traps. Like, rather fighting, rather brawling. I see why they made it no countouts. Yuta and Dan Garcia set up 4 tables. Pac threw Darby off of the top, like, balcony or something, dropping with a Falcon Arrow. Pac carried Darby back into the ring. Darby kicked out, low blow. Pac used the belt, coffin drop, 1, 2, 3. Just fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. Just fantastic. This is why I love AEW. Our matches of the week from New Japan Dontaku Tag: United Empire versus Bishmontin for the never Openweight 6-man tags. Callum Newman versus Shingo Takagi, putting the IWGP Heavyweight Championship on the line. From Dynamite, Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight for the World Championship. From Collision, the Bang Bang Gang Young Boys versus the Dogs and the Death Riders in that amazing 10-man tag match. From Collision, of course, the no countouts match, Darby and Pac for the championship. And our star, actually one more match. Sorry, I forgot about this. Backlash, Iyo and Asuka, ladies and gentlemen, just beautiful. Our stars of the week, Ying and Mark Davis, are both becoming new champions. But that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Look on the screen we got coming up. You know, you can check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course, 215 on Twitter. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.